What's up, guys? We are wrapping up the mainline assortment of figures in the Sugarman wave before we get to the Build-A-Figure with a look at Age of Apocalypse Sunfire. This is, without a doubt, my favorite version of Sunfire, at least as far as costumes go, because, I mean, come on, translucent plastic, and he's got tons of flames surrounding him. He just looks awesome. So I've really been looking forward to this figure. I liked the original one that we got not too long ago, so this will be a good counterpart to it. So we've got him here in our standard Legends packaging, mimicking the rest of the figures from the line. Figure in the window, you've got some artwork that runs down the spine of Sunfire and Apocalypse, and then on the back you've got a shot of the figure, a little bio, and then a lineup as usual. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our AOA Sunfire figure, one of the figures in this wave that I absolutely wanted to get my hands on because, well, it's my favorite look for the character, like I said, and it translates into figure form just, I mean, almost perfectly. Translucent orange-yellow figure made of fire with black accents and a Japanese flag mask, basically. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, and for the most part, we've got a really solid figure here. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. If you're familiar with that original Sunfire figure, then you know what to expect here because he's on the Sunfire body. So basically the exact same thing with a few little differences because there are, of course, some changes to his sculpt. He's not as unrestricted as that first figure. So you've got a head that can look up about that far before he starts to hit the flames on his neck. You can, move him a little bit further back, maybe start to loosen that peg up a little bit too much though. He looks down really far. You do not have any real tilt, but he's got full rotation. Once you hit the, once you hit the flames, you're gonna have to sort of push, but they'll go. He'll go as far as you need him to go. I mean, that's about as far as you would really need. You've got your arms that go out. They, of course, rotate all the way around. You do have your butterfly joint. We've got bicep swivel. We've got double jointed elbows. And these are pretty good. They do move a little bit less than I would have expected, but they move decently. You've got hinges and rotation at the wrist, but because he's got flame effects on the top of these hands, he can't really push the hands up too far. It's mostly just kind of jostling them, really. You've got your ab crunch here, which goes backwards. He goes forwards really far. You've got your waist twist. Legs go out about that far. They kick forward all the way. They kick backward a good bit. You've got your thigh cut. We've got our double jointed knees. And then we've got boot cut shin swivel, which does look a little wonky on a figure like this. And then you've got rocker and hinges down at those ankles. This is the one area where, outside of some limitations on the wrist and the head, compared to that original figure anyway, that I have a little bit of a problem because they are incredibly loose. And I don't know if it's just my figure or not, but they're both like this. So it's not unique to one side. He doesn't have any stability issues, really. It comes down to more of a balance thing. When you're trying to maybe get him into a walking position or a running pose, it certainly takes a little bit more effort to get him to pose maybe a little bit more gingerly, we'll say, on his ankles, because there is a tendency for him to just sort of move back and forth. He's also got the little bobble issue that this body has, which is I was expecting because the original Sunfire does this too. So he shakes around like that. But I mean, once he's there, he's there. He's not going anywhere. But when you get him on like a one-footed pose, it does present a little bit of a learning curve, but you can still do it. Now, as far as the overall look and feel, I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of this design, and honestly, there's really not a whole lot to complain about when it comes to the look on this figure. Maybe one downside to this guy is that he has no accessories, so you don't get any actual fire effects like the original Sunfire came with these guys, and you can use one of them on this figure because he does have a fist. It does work. It fits on there just fine. So you do have that option if you've got that original figure, but he doesn't have anything of his own, so no swappable hands and no energy effects, but he looks really, really good on his own, and frankly, I'm really happy with the way he turned out, especially when it comes to the black accents for the suit. They just really pop and they stand out against the very much orange yellow nature of the figure, and it breaks him up. He's just not one big glob of translucent plastic. Well, he is, but he's covered in black paint, and for the most part it's pretty crisp and clean. I don't have too many gripes here. There are a few little areas where it might be a little bit thin, like on the seam lines on the legs. You can sort of see it with the black, but overall, I mean, when you're looking just at a cursory glance, you're not really going to see too many problems for the most part. At least I'm not on my figure. And I really, really dig the flame effect that's around his collar. I think it works really well, kind of coincides with the head. I'm pretty sure these are Human Torch parts for the hands with the flame effects. That's where those come from, right? Which makes sense because they could fit on this body too. I do believe that's where they come from. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I did not dig out my Human Torch for this review, but I think he looks great. I'm a big fan of this body. It very much fits him as far as sizing goes, and it's translucent plastic. It's orange, yellow. I'm not really going to have a lot of complaining to do here because, frankly, I dig translucent plastic. I really obviously like the color, and everything here as far as that black accent works really well. The only real gripe that a lot of people seem to have when it comes to translucent figures fully is that you can see the joints and the structure on the inside. So, you know, around the hips, it's a little bit more noticeable, but for the most part, it's not too bad. Really, that's my only area where I think they really pop out, maybe a little bit on the back. If you're looking, you can sort of see the inner workings there, but I kind of like that too. It's just so cool. Let you see what's going on inside of a figure. And then of course we do have that one area up top that really breaks up the figure, contrasts to the black, and gives you a little bit more paint on an otherwise mostly unpainted body. And of course I'm talking about the head sculpt, and I dig everything about this. I love this look for him. I dig the idea of the white mask with the very Japanese flag design with just the red circle there. It really highlights the orange on his eyes. It makes them look a little bit deeper orange than if they were just sort of an orange void. And then you've got a full flaming head of orange translucent plastic up there, which works really, really nicely. I think it looks pretty good. You can see there's a lot of sculpted detail in there once I get the background out of the way, because it's always a pain to do orange figures against my backdrop, but here we are. But I really like it. I think it works incredibly well. Again, very biased on this one because I love the design, but the paint here is really thick. It's really clean, and it's just a great look, translated really well into figure form. And just like with other figures in this wave, I'm not sure it's necessary here either, but here is a quick comparison between our new Sunfire and our previous Sunfire, so you can see, I mean, outside of the fact that they share a tremendous amount of parts, which again is not a bad thing because it works exceptionally well for these figures, there is absolutely no similarity between these two outside of this slight fire motif that you've got going on with his kind of added effect parts and then the design on his suit. Otherwise, these are very, very different versions of the same character, but it's still pretty cool to see them side by side. So quite honestly, there's a good chance this guy could be among my favorite figures in this wave, at least as far as the mainline figures go. After finally building Sugar Man, I think he's probably my favorite because that thing's a whole different story. But as far as the regular figures in this wave goes, this is one that I was really looking forward to, and it's one that I think they delivered on quite well. A big fan of translucent plastic. It works really well for this figure. The paint applications on this guy are really cleanly applied. The only true negative for this figure is that there is a little bit of a limitation between the articulation on this guy compared to the original, but there are a few little design differences here that I do prefer with all the extra flame accents here. And then you do have what I hope aren't as widespread issue with the loose ankles, but mine are a little loose, but they aren't unworkable. So that's going to do it for this look at the Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse Sunfire figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.